Okay. Once again, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us on today's webinar, all about the W circuit in Torres del Paine National Park in Patagonia. My name is Ana Kammerer. I work for Emerging Destinations. We are a marketing representation company in US and Canada. And today I will be your co-host, and in a few more seconds, I will introduce Mr. Mauricio Kusanovic Olate, who will give us a great presentation about Torres del Paine National Park and Las Torres Reserve. But before we start with the webinar, let me introduce you our portfolio. As you can see on your screen now, the Emerging Destinations company has a big, diverse, and adventure portfolio covering 3 main regions: the Americas region, Africa, and Europe. As you can see, we have been adding a few more clients in the last month. So I will only focus on the clients that we have in the Americas region. We represent travel pioneers. Sorry, I think I missed my, here we go, sorry. We represent Travel Pioneers, a DMC offering land services in Costa Rica. We also represent Canyon Madness Ranch, an amazing outdoor lodge in New Mexico, Enchanting Expeditions in Ecuador, offering not only DMC land services in mainland Ecuador, but also a lodge in Santa Cruz Island and 2 amazing boat cruises sailing the Galapagos Islands. We also represent Colombian Journeys, a DMC offering land services in Colombia, as well as Chile Concept, a sister company, also a DMC offering land services in Chile. Grand Hotels Lux, featuring 4 beautiful hotels, 5 stars in Argentina, Buenos Aires, and the Iguazu Falls, and Uruguay in the beautiful city of Punta del Este. And Las Torres Patagonia, or Las Torres Reserve, our guests on today's webinar. They have a great hotel located right at the base of the massif in Torres del Paine National Park, and they also offer trekking circuits and other accommodation services for adventure travelers. In case you have any questions about any of these cool companies in cool places that we represent, either in Europe, Africa, or Americas, please feel free to reach out to me after this webinar. You can see my email address at the bottom of your screen now. Also, in case you would like to organize a private training, or maybe you need digital material or a brochure request, or in case you are having a festive season booking request for any of those clients, please let me know and I will be happy to assist you. Before passing over with Mauricio, let me give you some housekeeping notes regarding this webinar. All attendees will be mute, and this webinar is being recorded. So in case you need to answer the phone or step away, don't worry. We will be sending you the playback in the upcoming days. Also, we will be uploading this recording in our YouTube channel, Emerging Destinations. We invite you to follow us on this YouTube channel, as well as on our webinar Emerging Destination website, emergingdestinations.com. We encourage you sending any questions that you may have for Mauricio. You can do that on the GoToWebinar control panel on your right. Mauricio will be answering those questions at the end of his presentation. And in case we run out of time, we will try to keep this presentation within 30 minutes. In case he ran out of time, we will make sure to add your questions as well as Mauricio's answer in the follow-up email that we will be sending with the recording in the upcoming days. So let's start with our webinar. Let me introduce Mauricio Kusanovic Olate. He is Executive Director of Las Torres Reserve and a family member of the Kusanovic family, the founders of Las Torres Reserve. So let me make you a presenter, Mauricio.
Thank you.
For some reason, I can't make you a presenter.
Maybe I
just, okay.
Let's see. There it is, I think.
Here we go. Yeah.
Yes.
Over to you, Mauricio.
Okay, well, thank you, Anna, and hi everyone. Glad, very happy to be here, tell you everything about the W track in Torres del Paine. Well, like I said, like Anna presented me very well, thank you for that. I am Mauricio, I'm part of the family behind the Las Torres Reserve project in Torres del Paine, and I will try to do this a lot of information in 30 minutes. There's so many things we're not going to be able to talk about now because, I mean, there's so many things about Torres del Paine in general and specifically about the W Trail. But I'll try to cover most of the things, especially for those who haven't been there. And so today, we will talk about Torres del Paine. Then what is Torres del Paine? It's a beautiful, amazing place that you have to come here. Trekking, mountains, glacier, rock formation, beautiful trails, one of the top 5 trails in the world for sure. And it's a place you have to visit. You know, Patagonia, it's very trendy now, and we have a place for everyone here in Torres del Paine. And specifically about the W circuit, I will try to tell you what is it about, how to sell it, and we have different programs. So let's begin talking about the Torres del Paine. This is pretty much a picture of Torres del Paine trekking circuits. You know, in the red line, you will see the trekking circuit, the W circuit, which is about 4 nights, 5 days. You can see it's actually like a W. You know, that's why it's W circuit. You know, and the white and the yellow line, you have the O circuit, which combined with the W circuit, it's the O circuit includes the W circuit. Okay, so the O, you go all around the national park. It's a 6, 7, 8 night circuit. Absolutely beautiful. If you have the time and you clients have the time, it's one of the top trekkings in the world for sure. Okay, but in the middle of this place, it's Las Torres Reserve. In the red color you see there, that's us. So we've been here since 1979. So we know the place. We've done all the circuits. We've lived there for many, many years, and so I should know most of the questions you need. And we've been doing this tourism for over 25 years. So I should know most of the questions, and if I don't, shame on me, because I should. You know, we are from there. We're very local. So what is Las Torres Reserve? I mean, actually, we are located here in Patagonia, in the middle of Torres del Paine National Park, and we represent only 2% of the national park. That's actually very important. We're a small part of the national park, but very strategically located. So the family behind the project, it's the Kusanovic family. You know, it was my grandfather. Actually, well, our great grandfather came from Croatia in 1905, and they decided to do cattle. You know, that's what our parents do. You know, they are in the cattle business, and they bought in 1979 this beautiful estancia in Torres del Paine, next to a few ugly rocks, you know, granite rocks. At that time, no tourism was near. It was only for cattle. That's my grandfather and my grandmother. And so we've been there since 1979 in Torres del Paine. So it's an historic estancia. And that's very important because in 1959, when the national park was created, it was a small part of the national park. So we were there. But then it happened that the national park started growing, you know, expropriations, donations. So we are the last remaining of this cultural heritage, which is an estancia. Of course, now we don't have cattle. I'll tell you a little bit about that. But it is very important for us that you know that it's been a family-run business, and this is a 4th generation within this project, and it's been evolving all the time. So tourism just came like in the early 90s, you know, like really it's a new adventure, a new crazy adventure, because at the moment only a few people came to Torres del Paine. The roads were not good. We had to build everything from the resources we have, you know, which was part of the anastancia, you know, cattle access, horses, you know, that's been a family effort, and I'm very proud to be a part of it. So we are part of the authentic Patagonia, and that's very important for me, for you guys to know. We are from there, you know. It's not an investor group that came from, you know, we are local, and we try to promote the local experience, you know. So from the cattle, then tourism, and now we are in the new conservation area. That's the vision of the new generation, and lucky for us, you know, the last generation are agreed with everything we try to do. So we do projects of reforestation, conservation of flora, reduction, reuse, recycle. So we turn the whole place, the 4,000 something hectares, more than 11,000 acres, into a private, a natural and cultural reserve. And we started actually investing in the place. We built this welcome center at the beginning of the trekking circuit in Torres del Paine, in which you can actually have services, ask for any questions you have, so people will be here. So don't be afraid of sending people alone to Torres del Paine without a guide, or the guides are amazing. I recommend a guide, but if you want to send somebody by themselves, no problem. Infrastructure is good, and we will give them a lot of information in different places. We have our own park rangers, which we started about 3-4 years ago. They collaborated with the park rangers of the national park. We have our own reforestation project. We can actually, tourists can be part of. They have to be coordinated with us through the NGO that we have, which is Torres del Paine. We try to be involved with a lot of kids. We have a project in the Hotel Las Torres, the sustainable cocktails, and a very, very interesting concept of these two guys that work with us. Sustainable trails, very important. You know, the only way you can actually see attractions is to trails. So we started working on sustainable trails with Shoe Shop Trail Canada, and they've been helping us, and we try to come up with some programs that maybe in the future we can actually bring people and work on trails. Okay, so so enough about Las Torres Reserve, and let's talk about how to get to Torres del Paine. The first thing you need to know in Torres del Paine, you have to get to Santiago de Chile. Very important. Santiago de Chile is the main entrance by air, you know, because and then a flight to Punta Arenas, 3 hours and 15 minutes, something like that, a direct flight. LATAM, Sky, JetSmart, there are many airlines, and now there's a flight, there are direct flights from Puerto Natales. Even now, they're started in September, Sky, and actually LATAM just launched, they started in November. So I really recommend, if you want to go to Torres del Paine, try to go directly to Puerto Natales. We'll save you about 3-4 hours of traveling, and that's pretty much a whole day sometimes, you know. There's another option to go from Santiago. If you take a flight from Santiago to Puerto Montt, which some people like to go to that area, there's so many beautiful things in Chile. From Puerto Montt, you can actually take a ferry that goes from Puerto Montt to Puerto Natales directly. And it goes through the fjords. Very interesting. The fjords is actually the main difference, in case you didn't know, from Patagonia, Argentina, from Chile, from the Patagonia, from the Chilean Patagonia, is that the Chilean Patagonia, we have the fjords. Only a few places in the world have the fjords, and these two boats, they do it 3-4 nights. Amazing. Completely recommended if you want to have the full experience of mountain, canals. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Another option is you can actually go on a cruise. There's some Antarctica cruise. There's some cruises that start from Ushuaia, like Cruceros Australis, and they combine perfectly with Torres del Paine. Okay, so you can arrive. The other option is arriving through Argentina. Next to Torres del Paine, we have the Perito Moreno Glacier, you know, Calafate. So you go from Buenos Aires to Calafate, and from Calafate you are only for about 4 hours to Torres del Paine. You have LATAM and Aerolíneas Argentina that they do that. It's a good choice to mix Argentina and Chile in these Patagonia itineraries, okay? And once you are in each of the cities, Calafate, Punta Arenas, Torres, Puerto Natales, you can take regular buses, rent a car, or we could coordinate everything with a private or shared transportation from Las Torres, you know? Everything can be done. The times from Punta Arenas to Puerto Natales, you have about 3 hours. From Puerto Natales to Torres del Paine, it's only about 1.5 hours, 2 hours of driving. And from Calafate, you have 4 to 6 hours, depending on the borders. You know, there's always some delay on the borders. If you come from Punta Arenas, let me just tell you very briefly about Cerro Negro. This is a product we have that you can actually make a stop, an hour and a half or something. We visit this working estancia. It's in the middle of the way. We give them a tour for the house. It's a beautiful place. My grandfather and grandmother used to live here. And once we visit the house, then we go to the restaurant and have a beautiful lamb, or depending on the time you arrive, maybe we have a little like a tea time. And then we do a ship sharing show. Very interesting. It's an hour and a half that will cut your transportation, so it's not going to be that hard to do 5-hour traveling if you cut it in half. So I really recommend it. So once we are in Torres del Paine, then we have to get to Las Torres. We are here. This is the main area. Las Torres Hotel and the different lodge are right here, really next to Las Torres del Paine themselves. And one important question for me is, how do you want to travel? Sometimes people say, okay, I want to go to Patagonia. Okay, but do you want to travel with a backpack or with a suitcase? And that's actually, it tells you what type of experience you want to have. Some people, they don't want to just bring everything with them, you know. Maybe this is an exaggeration, you know, because we'll tell you things you can do in programs that you don't have to bring much things to do the W trek. But for example, for the W trek, there's an option. You can bring everything, your tent, your sleeping bag. You can carry everything with you and do have to have and camping by camping. That's an option. It's possible. You can do it in Torres del Paine. The other option is to go lighter. Just bring a small backpack, and actually we prepare all the logging for you, which could be refugios in a bed or a full equipped campsite, which is going to be ready for you when you get there with mattress, sleeping bag. You'll see pictures more. And actually, many of the trails of the trekking circuits, like when you go to a valley, you can actually leave everything in your tent or in the refugio and just travel really light, like for example Las Torres. So let me tell you a little bit about Las Torres Patagonia, the hotel. So why I'm gonna tell you about the hotel in the W track, because you can actually do the whole W circuit with Las Torres, use it as a home base. Las Torres has private room, about 75 private rooms. We have restaurant, we have a bar, all local food, very nice style, estancia style looking. We have our kitchen garden, which is very interesting to go see it. And if it's coordinated, you can actually pick up your fruit and vegetables and then have it on the dinner. You know, that's actually possible. But with the hotel, you can actually do Torres del Paine, the 3 valleys. So you stay at Las Torres, and then you go one day Las Torres del Paine, and you go up and back, and you walk 8 hours a day, but you come to the hotel. Then the next day you do French Valley. So from the hotel, we take a car, we leave you a navigation, and we do French Valley. And the next day you can do Great Glacier, navigation or trekking. So it is possible to do the whole double trek privately in a more luxury style, if you can call it. And then after your trekking's over, you can actually take a massage, enjoy the service of a hotel, you know, or sauna or a good meal. So regarding trekking circuits, we'll talk about a little bit about how to mix itineraries and how does a trekking circuit, a double trek, works. Okay, so first of all, go day by day, and then I'll start just talking about possible options, how to mix one camping with another. So the first day, usually it starts in Las Torres sector. I will explain now from right to left, from east to west. Okay, that's the way we do it. We rather do it like that. There's options of doing it west to east. Now it is possible. W trail doesn't, it's a bidirectional side. Okay, the O trail, you can only do it from east to west, right, from the right to the left. There's no option of doing it the other way because it's one direction. Okay, and I think pretty soon maybe Las Torres will be maybe one direction, the W trail, but not now yet. Okay, so day number 1, let's start the thing. Day number 1, usually it's when you arrive to the place, right? You can do it from Puerto Natales or from Punta Arenas. It doesn't really matter in terms of the itinerary, but it's a day you will arrive at the park, and it's actually a pretty good day to organize yourself. There's so many things you are not prepared for. So once you're there and talk to the people and talk to other travelers, you will know that you need a lighter, you will know that you need this and there. So it's very good to have this couple of hours first days to actually talk about the W trail and learn about dynamics, because once you're in the middle, it's very hard to get something that you don't have, okay? But the infrastructure, the first day in the central sector, this is the central bar, for example. This is where you're gonna have a meal. So infrastructure is very ready and prepared for you. We have lodge there, mountain hostel, we call it refugios. They're all shared accommodation, 6 people per room. 6 people per room, and but it's actually very adventurous, and it's one thing people like the most. It's the possibility of talking to other clients. If you have someone that don't want to share a room at all and everything, then you go to the hotel and do the WTL going every day to the attraction. But I really recommend to have a mindset of adventure and say, okay, this W trail I will do it in refugios or camping, because it's actually incredible. Then right here you have shared bathrooms also. This is the type of bathroom you have. And there is one possibility of private logging, which is camping always. That's the most options we have in Torres del Paine. I think 70% of the capacity is in camping. So we have this tent for you ready set up, in which you have a liner, a sleeping bag, you have a mattress there, so you don't have to carry everything. This actually been very good for people that they don't want to bring everything in their suitcase or in their backpack, and they just want to just trek and enjoy the place. So when they get to every place, this is going to be ready for them, and hopefully with a pisco sour also. So the first day you arrive. Day number 2, you go to Las Torres. So this day we go back and stay at the central sector, so you don't need to carry everything. Just a small backpack with your lunch, and that's it. So you will walk about 8 to 10 hours, depending on how you walk. It is a difficulty. I mean, it's a high difficulty. We will go up about, I don't know, 800, 900 meters. It's going to be a long excursion. There's an option of doing a horseback riding to the middle. So if you want to do that, there's an option there. We have it as an excursion, and you can take it also. So we will go there by Refugio Chileno. Refugio Chileno, it's 2 hours away from the central sector, and you can actually mix or have it as an option, Chileno or the central Refugio. They work combined, or you can stay in one or another, okay? So once we pass here, and Chileno has also shared accommodation. Here's a sleeping bag also. It's 2 hours away in the mountain, and all provisions are there. We bring them by horse, so it's very hard to do laundry and things like that. That's why we have the sleeping bags, and clients can actually enjoy a bed, which is actually very good. This is the restaurant right there. It's only for 25 people there, refugio, and also shared bathrooms, women and men separately. The camping here, we have the tents for about 40 people, I think, in Refugio Chileno, Camping Chileno. And I do recommend it if you really don't want to walk the 8 hours back and forward to Las Torres. Once you're there, you have pretty much halfway done. Okay, this is the valley, this is the trail to Las Torres, the trail you will walk, and the final part of Las Torres is actually the harder one, which is actually 45 minutes, an hour of moraine, rock formation, in which you can actually have to walk. But once you get to Las Torres, everything it's paid for sure, because it's an amazing picture that you will take there, and it's a great excursion. I recommend it. So then you come back and do the same trail. Day number 3, you walk from Las Torres to Los Cuernos, or French domes. We have Los Cuernos and French domes. They also work that you can do one or another, okay? It is possible to use one or another. You don't have to use both. Although we do have programs that stay in one, and then they do French and stay in the other. So this is not that much of a difficulty. Once you get to Los Cuernos, I really recommend to do Los Cuernos, because this is only half day of trekking. You can actually have lunch in the refugio. You don't need to have a box lunch. But what happened here is when you can actually enjoy yourself. This is a restaurant, this is accommodation, this is the bar. Accommodations are similar to the ones in Chileno. Bathrooms also similar. Good infrastructure. And right here we have an option which is a private one. We have 8 cabins. It could be a surprise for the client. It could be something they organized before, but it's beautiful. 2 people. Private option, and they only have a shared accommodation, shared bathroom with the cabin. That's it. So this is something people like a lot, because it's actually one of the few options of private logging within the W trail, right? So, and what I like about the Cuerno is that you can actually stay in the afternoon. You arrive there, you have lunch in the refugio, and then you can just sit and relax. You know, they have the Northern Skull Lake, which is actually beautiful. They have like beaches like this. So I do recommend to have a beer there and just enjoy yourself. You don't have to be every day walking. You need these times to rest also within the double circuit, okay? And then we have the French Dome that can actually be used as an accommodation to do the French Valley, for example. So from here, the domes are similar accommodation. You have 8 people per dome, bathrooms for 8 people also, and you have a restaurant and tents. Tents, like I said, it's the one we have the most because it's the most demand option for trekking Torres del Paine. And this is all part of the infrastructure in the French sector, the bathrooms for the campers, you know, very good bathroom, the best one we have. So French Valley, then we do what we do is we go up to French Valley, which is one of the days of double trek, and then we go back to Paine Grande, which is and right here we're getting out of the Las Torres Reserve and entering the national park itself. Okay, so the Paine Grande sector, the Paine Grande Refugio, it's a concession area of the national park. So the French Valley is absolutely beautiful, one of the few hanging glaciers that you will really get close. You can actually enjoy. This is one of my favorite days of the W trek for sure. You know, there's 2 options here. I'll go back to, you can actually stay, you can do 30 minutes up, 40 minutes up, and you will have a great lookout point, or you can do more and go to Británico, and that's actually a harder trekking, but it's doable if you like trekking. And in the Británico, you really will be really close to the mountain. Okay, so this is all pictures of the trail. This is going to Paine Grande, for example, and this is Paine Grande when we get there. And Paine Grande, it's similar than the refugios we have. 6 people per room, share accommodation, and then you have camping. Okay, so day number 5, which could be your last day or not, we'll talk about others itinerary. You could actually go and see part of the Great Glacier, and then we go back to a ferry and take you to Puerto Natales or Punta Arenas or whatever. You know, this is an option of 5 nights, 5 days of Torres del Paine. This is the lookout point you can arrive. A lot of people get here and then they go back. And if you have the time for an extra day, recommend you to go up to Great Glacier for sure, right? This is just some pictures, and then we take this ferry, beautiful ferry also that you can have amazing views from Los Cuernos, which you will love for sure. So there's a couple options here, like I said. So after leaving here, you can actually stay in gray sector and just keep going in another day in the double trek. But in the gray sector, the good thing, you have also a refugio, which is the gray refugio, great accommodation. It's actually the newest one, Torres del Paine, I think. Also 4 to 6 people per room and camping. But the good thing is here you have another product, which is Bigfoot. Bigfoot, what do? They do kayak in the Great Glacier. Beautiful, completely recommended. They have like a half-day excursions, and they do trekking in the glacier, which is also very nice. People haven't ever done it. Now I do recommend it. It's actually beautiful, and all that happened in this sector. It's actually, there's a possibility here to come back and take the same ferry I was telling you before, or take another ferry here, like this ferry which is the grade 3, this do the Great Lake. And right here, the ferry is actually a great experience also. You will get closer to the glacier, you can take pictures, you know, it's actually, I do recommend it. And you can actually save a whole day of trekking, which could be fine. Of course, it has a price, a little bit more expensive than just walking, but it's recommendable for sure. I do recommend it. So to make a very a resume of everything, okay, so you can do the double trek in different options. You know, you can combine different sectors. You can do it by camping with no restriction day. This is very important because of COVID reasons. I know hopefully this whole nightmare it's over. COVID reasons, we had to make some adjustments to the offer. Okay, so in camping, and this includes verticals, so in camping, there's no restrictions days. You can just sell it and just prepare the itinerary however you want. We have different types of itinerary in camping. It's the only private option because it's your tent. You have also always share bathrooms. You can do it guided or self-guided. Okay, and you can find these full equipped campsites in pretty much every place of the W Trail. Then you have the refugios. In the refugios, because there are 6 people per room, what we had to do is to sell it by room. So we've come up with a full program with fixed entry days all week. We have different programs coming Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I do recommend you to see these programs, and specifically because we're not going to talk about it now, we're not going to go into everyone for time, but they all do the double check in different days. Some of them they do it fast, some of them they take longer. So it depends how much time you have. But you have fixed entry days, and you share the accommodation with 6 people, with 6 packs. The good thing is that every program you take or you get in, you will be with the 6 persons in every refugio. So you will not be sharing space in the room with strangers if you want it. Of course, there are people that you don't know at the beginning, but at least you will be the 3, 4, 5 nights with them, just with them, okay? It's shared bathroom. You can do it guided or self-guided. And of course, Hotel Las Torres Patagonia, private option for the W Trail, all inclusive, and you can visit every attraction of the trail as a base camp. Like I was telling you about, and this is something important, especially for tour operators, travel agencies that are trying to combine itineraries, we have and this is something will be sent to you. For example, the W Circuit, that's one program of 5 days, 4 nights for 6 people. And you can actually, if you have 2 people, you can just get in, but you will be with 6 people. It's not that it sells only for 6. But this goes from Tuesday and Thursday. Okay, so in night 1 they do Central, night 2 they do Central, then they do French or Cuernos and Paine Grande, and then they're out. Okay, then you have the W Express, 3 nights, 4 days for those who doesn't have much time. And the W Express starts on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. So if you arrive those days, you can take and get into this program. Then you have 1 night in Central in French, and then another one in French Valley, and then you see gray, and you are out of the W Trail. Then we have the W Experience, which is actually 4 nights, 5 days, Wednesday and Saturday. Yeah, Torres del Paine Express, 2 nights, 3 days. You know, that's actually very intense, but some people really don't have the time. So if you like trekking, it's an option you can take. You know, this is Friday and Sunday, and then the big circuit, which we do day 1 and 3rd of Tuesday of every 1 and 3 Tuesday of every month. Okay. Anyhow, this will be sent to you because it's very important that you know these itineraries and you can actually mix with everything. It's important for us, you know, that as the Las Torres Reserve, we have a mission trying to inspire people with the nature and culture of Patagonia. And we do try to be a worldwide reference for sustainable tourism and conservation. That's the goal. We're not there yet, but we're trying to get closer to that. You know, there's a new website also in lastorres.com that it will be important if you can actually go see it. You will find the programs there, you will find videos, and there's actually a new video that we will launch pretty sure tomorrow, I don't know, in which I explain the W Trail, and it's a video you can send to your clients. I know sometimes it's a little hard to talk about the W Trail, but all these programs, they're made for you. They're made to make life easier when you sell this. So you only worried about the airfare or how to combine different destinations. And in Torres del Paine, we can actually worried about how to mix these itineraries. They're prepared for you. It's important that in Torres del Paine, you know, this is a trekking. It's not for everyone. You will walk 5 to 8 hours to 10 hours a day, okay? It's a safe place. Nothing will really happen to you in case, the only thing could happen if you're not responsible with the rules, things like that, okay? So I know there's a lot of questions for you, and I want to leave some time for the specific things, and I do recommend you to see the video, okay? The video that we will send you, because there explain a couple of more things, how to out the box lunch, the meals and everything. But the good instructions that you will see, it's through the whole W Trail. So it's a good place to send your clients to, and hopefully we can make easier to sell trekking in Torres del Paine. Okay, so Anna, let me know if there's any questions. I haven't been reading yet the answer. the text, but I hear you. Hello, hello.
Hey, Mauricio, this is Jessie. I'm just going to jump on and maybe read some questions that we received during the webinar. Let's see. Oh my gosh, so many great questions here. Let's see. The never-ending question, Mauricio. I hope you have a crystal ball. How do the borders opening look for Chile?
Okay, I mean, Chile, it's right now it's we're over 90-something% vaccinated, so things are okay. The government's been very cautious about opening borders. They just launched the 1st of October. People can enter Chile, but they do have a 5-day quarantine, which is not good for tourism. But there's been so much pressure of the tourism sector. We're pretty much the only country stand alone with the borders closed, that my guess is that they should open borders. I'm trying to guess it's for November or something like that, but it's just a guess, and could be right, could be wrong. But I think there's a feel it's good for that. Okay, I think we can do it safely.
Nobody has a crystal ball, myself included. I'll turn on my video so people can see me. Hi everyone, sorry about that. This is a great question, and you might have mentioned a little bit earlier. Is there a better time of season or time of year to do this? I know that the Patagonia, can be done all year round, but in your opinion, or can you give an idea of seasonality?
I mean, yeah, seasonality in Torres del Paine. One thing you have to know, okay, in winter time, for us, winter is from May to beginning of September. When you can do the W trail with a guide, but most of the services within the circuit, they are not available, right? So it's a little harder if you have clients that they do one service. Okay, so recommendations from September until April. We usually start the season in September, and in every spring, it's beautiful. Not that many people. Wind still not that high, so you will actually have a experience which is actually more what people think about Patagonia, where no people are around. So it's actually a good time. It's a little bit more rainy than the summer. The summer from let's say November until middle of March, something like that. You have a lot of light, more sun, more maybe a couple more good days, but you have a lot of wind. In Patagonia. It's something that the wind has to be considered all the time, especially if you do camping. Okay, in the autumn, which will be March and April, it's one of my favorite areas, times of the year, because of the colors. The lenga trees, the notophagus trees, the ones we have, they change to yellow to red. It's actually beautiful, and you may have the mountain covered with snow. So the best time to come, it depends what do you like. For photographies, people like photographers, maybe in autumn it's a good time, but I mean the best time it's whenever you have time. I think you don't have to really think much about the weather, and just be prepared. There's no such thing as bad weather. There is bad equipment. Okay, so if you are prepared, you should have a problem. And actually, the best experience I've had in Torres del Paine in talking to people, it's with bad weather. Actually, that's the things you remember. That's the experience. So I wouldn't care much about the weather. Just be prepared, because even though you come in summertime, you can have snow, rain, wind, sun, all 4 seasons one day. It's Patagonia. It's like that.
No. And the wind, I've never experienced anything like the wind in Patagonia. It's baffling to me. Let me take a few more questions, Mauricio. Are there mountain biking trails along the W circuit? Can you do any of the portions via mountain biking, or is that more of like an outside excursion?
Not yet. We do have some some biking trails within the reserve. In the first day around Hotel Las Torres and the central sector, there's some trails you can take. But within the W trail, once you enter the mountain and go lodge to lodge, it's not for biking. It's prohibited.
Yep. I can answer this question. Is the W circuit outside of the national park? It is indeed inside the national park. So I think a lot of people were wanting that map that you showed earlier, Mauricio. So of course we'll include that in our follow-up when we do that. Maybe just two more questions. How much experience do you need if you want to do that excursion via horseback? You mentioned that you can do half of the W circuit, you know, up to the, what is it, the French Valley or something like that, half of it via horseback. Do you need any experience on that, or?
You don't need much. I mean, for horseback riding, if you ever want to do it, for example, you can do the day you go to Las Torres, for example, the first day, you can do half of it in horseback riding. No much experience required at all. The horses are really good. But for trekking, this is important. I mean, because when you say to someone, is that prepare if they do exercise, you know, questions vary. You know, yes, I do exercise. I walk to my home or to my work every day. Okay, you need to know this is Patagonia. So weather and things like that could affect you. Secondly, you will walk about 5 to 8 to 10 hours a day, okay, in mountain trails. So that's important to know. So people need to worry about maybe knee injuries, toe injuries, things like that. You know, things that can actually complicate the whole process. Because a lot of people, they start the first day and sometimes they have to quit if they're not really prepared. So be conscious with your body. You don't really need much experience. You don't need to climb the Everest to go to the W circuit at all. It's actually an easy trekking if you compare it to others. It's really the altitude. It's about 120 meters sea level. Okay, so you don't have all those problems that you have with the altitude, and you can do it. You do have time. You start earlier and you have a lot of daylight, so you don't need to hurry. That's what I'm saying. You can just take your time. Drink water whenever you need. Water from the different streams, they are drinkable. I mean, no problem. Just bring your bottle and just drink it. Not many places in the world you can actually do that, but you can do it in Torres del Paine. And you just have to be conscious. You need to be a little fit. You need to like adventure, right? And you will walk. You will walk sometimes a lot, sometimes 4 hours, and that's something you have to consider.
Yeah. And the horses are only available on certain portions of the trek, obviously not all, and we can, you know, go into that a little bit towards the end. Let's take this last question. I love it. It looks quite cold for camping. One of our listeners noticed the hikers wearing winter jackets. Can you talk about the, you know, when I visited the refugios and the campsites, there was like sub-zero sleeping bags provided. So if you want to talk a little bit about how, of course, you can, you know, pack and we can provide stuff for very, very cold temperatures if you do choose to trek in a winter month.
Yeah. If you choose not only winter months, it can be cold a little bit in September or October. It could be a cold day in December. Okay, so like I said, if you come in a certain time, it's no assurance that you will have a good day or a sunny day. Okay, of course, there's estimated. You can go to any website and try to find about the weather in Torres del Paine, and you will see how this looks. But it is important that you are prepared. You have the right equipment. Okay. To be honest, I mean, if you have the right equipment, you're never cold. When you walk, you're not cold at all because you're in training. Your body's moving. Okay. In the campsites, if you have a good tent and if you have a good sleeping bag, prepare for things like this in Patagonia. You will not be cold. Actually, you may have it's going to be very hot inside the tent. Okay. So the key here is planning. If you plan your trip and you prepare for camping, believe me, you can have a great experience Torres del Paine. And of course, if you like camping, if you really don't like camping, then you have the refugios that you can stay in a bed.
The hotel. Yeah.
They give you a sleeping bag, or the hotel in which you can take it as a home base and do the whole W trek from there.
Yeah.
No problem.
Several different options. So I think that's it. If we did not get to your question, don't worry. We will have Mauricio answer those at a later time. A lot of people are asking about packing lists and maps and stuff like that. Don't worry, we'll provide all of that in our follow-up. But Mauricio, thanks so much for joining us today. This was extremely helpful. We can't wait to welcome your guests to Patagonia. And we look forward to having you on another webinar that I know Mauricio will be back for. So thank you, Mauricio, and everyone have a great day.
Yes, I thank you everyone, and hopefully we can actually keep doing all this webinar, and we'll try to go more specific. I know I didn't talk about meals and box lunch and what does it include. So many things are left over in a 30-minute webinar, but you can ask anything. You have emerging destinations, and you have us, and we're very reachable. So just send us an email, and we'll answer everything. Okay, so thank you everyone.
Perfect.